It's buyers beware. Okay. What was the Latin for it? I can't remember now. Oh, caveat emptor. You know, and typically each bond issue comes with a bond rating. So when the bond issue, these guys says this is a single B rated company. That is basically below investment grade. In fact, it's the lower end of the junk bond ratings because anything below single B, you should expect default. It's CCC and lower, and C stands for crap. If it's rated D, that means these guys are going to default, or they have already defaulted. That's why I use the term. Technically speaking, even U.S. Treasury could default, particularly because of quirk in U.S. law. By law, United States Treasury cannot borrow more than a certain legally defined limit. Okay, that's called the debt. Currently, it stands at what 30 trillion or something. And
They just, I think recently, a couple of months ago, they did raise.
yeah, it's stupid. They have to. But it becomes a theater. Uh, they use a lot of that in campaign ads. Oh, this guy voted for the Treasury to borrow more. What a liberal he is. But you don't realize that if that limit is not raised and Treasury does not do what I'm going to suggest it should do in that case, the entire world economy is going to collapse. And you would think that the Second World War was a picnic. Okay. I mean, you will have to, if that happens, with whatever you got, buy a lot of canned food and ammo. Okay, you're gonna need it. It's gonna be the Mad Max days. Do you know how much money U.S. Owes to China? I'm sorry, how much U.S. bonds China owns? Over $3 trillion. Okay, that's kind of the mutually assured destruction. Chinese technically can disrupt the U.S. financial market big time. If they decided dumping all those bonds, the yields on those 10-year, 30-year bonds would probably jump over 15. Okay, and that's going to kill the U.S. economy. But the trouble is, they're going to kill themselves too. It's like the mutually assured destruction between nuclear powers. If you send a missile to me, you know that I got missiles too. So we will basically kill each other.
I believe the action of those are known as false flag operations, correct?
Hmm?
I believe the actual term for that is like false flagging.
Which one?
False flag operations, they can range from like missile strikes to small unconventional warfare.
That's more of a general term. You can have false flag operations on a lot of stuff. You do some sort of operation, but you give the appearance that it was actually done by your rival. Yeah. Even though you actually did it yourself. Actually, U.S. was famous for that in 1970s and 80s to handle with Latin American countries. Chile, for example. Yeah. Bay of Pigs was a false flag operation. It was technically speaking some Cuban expatriates who actually did the thing, but it was completely backed by CIA.
And it completely failed because they were just starting out. They were like,
Don't get me started on CIA. I mean, we had the war, second war in Iraq because of those guys.
Yep.
You may or may not have liked Saddam Hussein. I practically hated the guy. But you ended up, I'm not even counting the Iraqi civilians and stuff. You ended up killing, what, over 5,000 US soldiers? For nothing. Why? Because your daddy actually had an issue with Saddam. And as your kid, you wanted to show your daddy that you could get him. What are you going to do? I'm talking about W versus HW, the Bushes. Anyway, here's the promised cash flow. In 0.5 years, you're gonna get $625. 1.0 years, $625. 1.5 years, and in exactly 2.0 years, you're going to get 10,625, which is you get 625 for your last coupon plus 10,000 for face value. Since we're not in Japan, we're not going to group things by 4 zeros. They actually group things based on 10,000s. For example, if you wanted to say 100,000 in Japanese, you say 10 10,000s. They do it in groups of 4. So 1 million would be 110,000s. So, and they bracket the thing, they use 4 zeros. It's from the old days. A lot of the army system, I think it was the old ancient Hun Turks that started this. It was, you had units of 10, and units of 100, units of 1,000, and the big army units of 10,000. And the names for those in Turkish was on yüz bin tümen. In fact, the Japanese name for 10,000 is man. The Mongolian army of Genghis Khan was based on that system as well. Okay, that's the promised cash flow. Now we're going to ask ourselves, all right, government is making this promised cash flows. How are we going to actually value this thing? Well, you learned the first week or two when we did time value of the money. When you have a promise of cash flow with the future, you're going to calculate value of that as present value of that cash flow. In this case, technically speaking, I need to calculate present value of the first, present value of the second, third, and fourth, and add those. But we're a lot more civilized than that. We actually created a spreadsheet because this looks awfully like an annuity with a balloon payment. Okay, I'm going to kind of create it from scratch. So let me see. If you go to Blackboard, actually, let me go ahead and post the current version because I changed a few things about it. Lecture videos. I'm going to post it under today's, then I'll make an adjustments later. And let me open that file. We'll now call the seek and destroy. And let me save this as desktop. Macro enabled workbook. I'm gonna call it, I guess I call it bot pricing, but hey, it's my file. I can call it anything I want. You feel free to change the name. Guys, I should not remind you that your conversations should not happen in class. Would you be happy if I actually talked on my phone? Shouldn't have done that, but I did. Let me close this for now. I'll open it after I post it. Oh, I'm in the wrong class. Mm, let me make sure that it sits at the top. I order these things so that the most recent lecture is always at the top. Of course, after today, I'll also have any notes and the YouTube playlist. But for now, we're going to start with that file. So if you want to go kind of repeat what I'm doing. All right. This is my template for goal sequence stuff. So I'm going to create a copy of that.